All right, Vestas, I'm going to go back to my roots tonight. Tony Talks Insight tonight at 9 in the black. I'm going back to for all the Vestas that like just to hear me talk and tell what's on my mind. So tonight we're going to talk about the Rooney Rule. We're also going to talk about the latest information regarding John Harbaugh. And if you hear that train in the background, that means it's the midnight train to Georgia, because I'm going to take you on to one tonight. So we're going to talk about that Rooney Rule. We're going to talk about the latest John Harbaugh news. There's been some switcheroos in the street. It seemed like Matt LaFleur is not getting fired. So that means that Green Bay having first dibs on John Harbaugh is out of play. But where does that leave the Cleveland Browns? The latest news that came out that says that John Harbaugh, top two picks will be the Falcons and the Giants. Falcons and the Giants. Now, I like him better for the Falcons. That means because I get the benefit from his presence along with that team. Now, that is another team that definitely needs some of those wins that he can probably put together with that offense. But I don't know what the quarterback situation is. As of now, they got Cousins. Cousins ended the year as QB1 because Penix got hurt around that November 16 game against the Carolina Panthers. And once again, shout out to the Carolina Panthers because you did wonderful. So don't hold your head down. Bryce Young, don't hold your head down. Jimmy Horn, don't hold your head down. Y'all did an awesome thing this year for the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. All right. So John Harbaugh, where is he going? Nobody knows. But as of now, there's a lot of speculations. The Cleveland Browns, they're casting their net wide to see who they can find. Totally understand, but I really think it's a game in a sense because they already know exactly who they want to get. And who that person is, may it be John Harbaugh or somebody else that we don't even see out of the closet. That person is the right fit for them. So there's a lot of speculations. There are a lot of moving pieces. And until that list is finalized to the final 4 or 6 candidates, I'm just going to sit back and watch from afar on Tony Talks Vested Up. And hey, Vestas, if y'all have some news that y'all find out and y'all want me to report, just go ahead and drop it down in any comment section because I'm going to be here for you. I definitely want to report on what you want to hear. But let's go ahead and talk about this minority rule that each team must follow before they hire. If you still hear that train in the background, that's just that train, that midnight train to Georgia. Okay, so as I stated, Green Bay is out of the market. As of now, they're going to work something out with their current head coach, Matt LaFleur. Green Bay is not in play anymore, okay? But there's one team that's in play, as I mentioned, the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons had an official in-person interview with John Harbaugh today. Yes, that is official. Hey, if Atlanta get John Harbaugh, especially over Kevin Stefanski, I'm shouting for joy. I really wish that if John Harbaugh can come to Atlanta, he can go ahead and talk about a trade from the Cleveland Browns and go ahead and push shedeursanders to the Falcons. Do you know what that would do to the South? Hold on, let me go back to that. Do you know what that would do to Georgia, the South of the continental United States? Oh my. So the Atlanta Falcons announced today that they completed their formal interview with John Harbaugh. This will make the first team that officially sat down with him. Hint, hint. Let's talk about it, okay? The hitter angle. So let's talk about what this does to the Browns. This put massive pressure on the Browns because they don't know what the Atlanta Falcons talked to Harbaugh about. They don't know how to interview him. So the Cleveland Browns is under pressure. And guess what? If Harbaugh liked the Atlanta pitch, that means that Cleveland's window to interview him either tomorrow or Wednesday is closing fast. Now, the worst case scenario of all of this is if John Harbaugh meets with the Giants before he meets with the Cleveland Browns. If he does that, that is writing also on the wall. His first 2 choices will be either the Atlanta Falcons or the New York Giants, in a sense. But he can also play that card another way. He can say, well, I already know I want to be with the Cleveland Browns, but let me see what Atlanta Falcons and what the Giants are talking about before I give the Cleveland Browns my approval. be your head coach. But like I said, it's speculation. Some experts say that a final decision on who will be hired will not happen till after the Super Bowl, or maybe the week before the Super Bowl, because all teams have to acknowledge and follow the guidelines under the current Rooney Rule that says that every team with a vacancy must conduct in-person interviews with at least 2 external minority candidates before making a hire. Now, as of today, I haven't seen no minority candidate from my eyes that have applied for any of these jobs, not saying they're out there, but each team must meet with at least 2 minority candidates before they make an official decision on who they want to offer to, issue an offer to. And then once I do some more digging and find out who those names are, I definitely want to go ahead and dig into these minority candidates for several reasons. Because as we know, life will give you some diamond in the rough, and never walk over sand without looking down just to make sure you haven't stepped over a diamond in the rough. Make sure you all Vesters, Vesters, you do that. That's a life lesson. Always look down to make sure you ain't stepping over something that's valuable, because do you know how many people in life has done that? Do you know how many people in life have done that? And in the last 9 months, the Cleveland Browns did that. They did that to shedeursanders. And in that situation on purpose, they knew who they had in shedeursanders, and they still looked over him. But guess what? They underestimated the power of God that accompanied him. So Vesters, until next time, make sure you tune into Tony Talks Vested Insight tonight at 9 in the black, because I'm doing this for my Vesters that found me in the black. That means a faceless channel. So Vesters, wherever you are, I hope you find this video. I haven't forgot about you. I will never forget about you. And in the future, I'm going to do videos going public, and I'm definitely going to do these videos in the black. We're going to call it the Black Series. Tony Talk Vested Insight tonight in the black. Ooh, I like the ring of that. Ooh, woo. All right, Vesters, I'll talk to you later. And like I said, if you want me to report on anything that you may hear in the news, just come back. Make sure you like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. This is the first time you come into my channel, and go ahead and drop a comment in that comment section and let me know what you want me to report in. And investors, guess what? Go ahead and take it a little step further. If you want me to report that news in the black, go ahead and report it in the black. And if you want me to do a public appearance, I can do that too. Just make sure you put public in parentheses. All right, investors, I'm here for all of y'all. The ones that just found me, and the ones that's been riding with me in the dark. Ooh, we rode a wave, didn't we, Vesters? We come a mighty, mighty, mighty long way. And I would never forget about you. I would never forget about you, Vesters. Because guess what? We just started. And I'm going to take all of you with me, because we're moving forward. All right, Vesters. So next time, make sure you get your notes, your drink, and your vest, because we vested up tonight. All right, Vesters. Talk to you soon.